one of the comments, Chris, that you made was that the recession risks were contained, you felt, in the near term. Is there any difference between what New York should be concerned about compared to the U.S. economy? Are greater risk or not of maybe participating in that, and what we should look for?
Mm-hmm. I think there are two areas where risks to New York are somewhat greater, and that is in that boom-bust scenario, one key ingredient is the rise in interest rates, and that could lead to financial stress, which most likely would be reflected in a decline in equity prices, and because of the impact that has on securities industry, employment, and profits, that would be New York would suffer disproportionately. And in addition, commercial real estate prices and the leverage involved there, that if the rise in interest rates makes those commercial real estate investments not look so great anymore, and there's an exit of foreign investor money or a lack of appetite to further bid those prices up, you can see those prices come down, and obviously that would disproportionately impact New York. Thank you.
If I might, the question that I think Senator DeFrancisco asked about workforce participation, I heard in Mr. Jacobs' thing, he was talking about in New York City a 60% labor participation involvement. Is there a sense that we have, and I know that's always changing, of what's ideal perhaps? Is there a sense of, I know that unemployment, there's a sense where you kind of consider it at full employment at some rate. Is there in participation a certain rate as well that you might see?
Well, the one issue there is that the age composition of the labor force has changed. So you expect participation rates to be different for people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And so some of the rise, or some of the decline in the labor force participation rate has been a result of aging of the population. All right. I think at one time we're estimating about half of it being explained by aging, and that's maybe a year or two ago. So you have to make that adjustment. So unlike, say, the unemployment rate, we don't have a magic number, unless Chris wants to offer one, for labor force participation normality. It is lower than it was 10 years ago, yes.
Mm-hmm. Two areas that have seen declines in the participation rate have been in prime age males, 25 to 55, and a large proportion of that seems to be tied to opioid abuse. Very interesting presentation from Alan Kruger yesterday on this topic. And the other area would be among younger workers, where maybe the job market, even though it seems very tight, isn't that great for younger workers. So a lot of them have dropped out, and whatever, they've gone back to school, they're living in mom's basement, whatever. But yeah, the public health crisis. One of the recommendations looked at, is it economics that are causing the opioid crisis, or is it bad prescribing? And the evidence seems to be leaning towards the fact that it's prescription habits. Doctors are way over prescribing, and when you look at pills per capita and the number of overdoses, they're very highly correlated.